Okay, hello there, everyone. So I've been a little bit quiet calling out Channel 1 the past couple of days, and I've had my main reason why I have been quiet. And I'm going to give them credit when credit is due. They've been spending a lot of time talking about what happened on the Upper East Side Wednesday night, and it's a little bit an emotional time given that my cousins on the Upper East Side, they welcomed a baby boy to the world on Wednesday afternoon. And it is a sad thought to think that as one baby is entering the Upper East Side, one baby is leaving, well, potentially maybe leaving the Upper East Side. We still don't know what's going on with the child, but we do know a mother was shot minding her own business, and this may have to do with a domestic incident. And of course, we're going to get into how it's been covered in the papers. Now, I will be fair to Pat Kiernan. If he wants to take a vacation, he does deserve it in one sense. I mean, come on. He's been doing the morning news now for 20 something plus years. I mean, we all deserve our vacations, don't get me wrong. But let's talk about New Yorkers who don't take a vacation, like me, who operates the Andy's Randomness YouTube channel. And then, of course, you got Curtis Lewa, who has to run the day-to-day operation to the Guardian Angels. And then, of course, has to host a daily talk show on 77 WABC every day. So now we're going to go into what's been going on in the papers, and we're going to mute the desktop audio today because I want you to hear my reaction. I want you to, deal with what we're all dealing with. Now, Melinda Katz is in her own trouble. We're going to get into that later on in this video, but let's get into the story at hand.
The Post front page this morning is focused on a story we've been reporting to you, a 20-year-old woman who was shot dead on the Upper East Side while pushing a baby in a stroller. Investigators say that she was shot at point-blank range. This happened near the Samuel Seabury Playground on Lexington Avenue. The baby was unharmed.
Now, I will mention that this happened at East 95th Street, and that hits too close to home for me because, as I said, I have cousins in that part of the city, number one. Number two, you can call me somebody who knows a lot about the Upper East Side because that's where I've caught the M86 bus to get to Central Park a lot of times over the years, and Carl Schultz Park, another close thing I have in that area. But also, keep in mind, that's the area where the M31 starts and ends its bus route over there. So, just want to put that in perspective. Now, believe it or not, there is an epic fail. Now, you can't really see it, but I'm going to try to see if I can scroll this. I never do this on here, but let me show you something. All right, this is something unusual I never do in these videos, but this is a little behind the scenes. Look at this. They put an epic fail. Today is not June 1st. Oh my God, it's July 1st. But for whatever reason, Spectrum... Hang on, let's scroll this down for a second. Can we scroll this down? We should be able to. I mean, I know how to work OBS. There we go. So look at this. Yep, this is the right date. So let's watch to see how Channel 1's been covering this. And by the way, they've had reporters on the scene. And I will note that because they've been doing a pretty good job covering. And I haven't been watching the 10 o'clock newscast, but in the mid-afternoons, I just snoop on them a little bit. And they've been doing that. But today, for whatever reason, they've moved on and focused on Kathy Hochul. And Believe me, we're gonna call her out as we go along in this video, because once again, she is completely out of touch.
It is time now at a look inside your Friday papers. I'm going to start with the Daily News this morning. They have this tragic story on the front page. It is the story of 20-year-old Asia Johnson. She was shot to death on the Upper East Side. The Daily News has labeled the man who shot her as the stroller killer. I'll show you what the front page of the Post looks like. They are also leading with this story. They spoke with Johnson's relatives, who say that she was abused by the 3-month-old baby's father. Her mother says at one point Johnson moved into a domestic abuse shelter because she was afraid of her ex-boyfriend, who had recently found out that she had given birth. She also apparently planned to meet with him Wednesday night because she wanted him to get to know their daughter. An exclusive in the business section says that TikTok...
So I'm sorry, but let's rewind that for a second. Let's rewind that, okay? So that's just, again, very, very alarming, okay? I saw the relatives on Channel 7, all right? They said on camera, why was she organizing to meet with the baby's father? You know, I mean, I am just so grateful that my cousins tied the knot a year ago. They're Upper East Side residents, doctors, by the way, who planned their pregnancy out. You know, the fact that this is happening out of all places, the Upper East Side, doesn't that get you a little bit suspicious? I mean, again, I know the Upper East Side very well. This, to me, there should have been an intervention. No question about that. Especially if she was living in an apartment building. Especially if she was living in an apartment building with a doorman. Because most buildings on the Upper East Side have that. I mean, did she have a nanny? Most parents on the Upper East Side do hire a nanny. I've seen that at Carl Schultz Park over the years. It's the behavior I'm used to seeing in that part of Manhattan. So, as I've said, there are more questions than answers that I am just beyond stunned and just shocked over today. That I wish we knew more what happened. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to watch a video from Channel 1's website. And again, I'm going to mention that they've done a pretty good job covering this, and I will say that, but of course, we gotta get to the other news that has been ignored. So, without further ado, let's stop rambling and let's just watch the video.
Shock and devastation after a young mother was shot and killed on the Upper East Side.
This is what happened to my daughter. My daughter, all she wanted to do was have a daddy for her daughter. She was abused when she was pregnant.
The mother of 20-year-old Asia Johnson says her daughter was a victim of domestic violence. Lisa Desort condemning the NYPD for not stepping in sooner to save her daughter's life.
I kept telling them he's threatening my daughter's life, and they didn't believe. And now my daughter's dead.
A vigil was held for Johnson on 95th Street and Lexington Avenue Thursday night. Police say the young mother was shot in the head while pushing a baby stroller with her 3-month-old daughter inside. The baby girl was not hurt, but the mother died at the hospital.
That bullet could have struck any innocent person on this block. And that is something that we are alarmed about.
Mayor Eric Adams blaming the proliferation of illegal guns on our streets for what he calls another act of senseless violence.
We really need all of our city to unite and send a strong message that we don't want to wake up to gunshots. We don't want to see blood on our streets. We don't want to lose innocent families and children.
Sources tell New York One that Johnson had a history of 3 prior domestic incidents. Activists are pleading with victims of domestic violence to seek help before it's too late.
Get out. She didn't get out, but you can get out. Domestic violence is a crime. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
No arrests have been made, and the suspect's identity has not yet been released. Police say he was last seen wearing a black hoodie and black sweatpants. Anyone with information is asked to call the Crime Stoppers hotline at 1-800-577-TIPS. On the Upper East Side, I'm Rebecca Greenberg, New York One.
Now, what I can't understand is, if the police want to make this a lot easier, they should release the name of the father of the baby. Alright, I don't want to use any, terms that could knock me off of YouTube. I could be taken off because I said something that was cultural misappropriation, the term that they like to use. So I'm not going to refer to it as that term. But the father of the baby, his name should be released. How are you supposed to find this guy? Because the police easily want to question him. Right? And, I am just going to mention this right now. And I know the Upper East Side very, very well. The fact that the 19th Precinct is refusing to release the name. I mean, doesn't the 19th Precinct want extra help here? Believe me, I know the 19 very well. I know the 19 very, very well. Alright, this happened in the 19th, for crying out loud. You tell me how they're making their jobs difficult right now. The father's name should be out there. He is now the most wanted person in all of the 5 boroughs right now. I don't understand the police logic here, but I'm done talking about this. But as I said, I am really glad Channel 1 did a good job covering it. At least they have some redemption, but guess what? We have to get to the news that Channel 1 is not talking about. So believe it or not, we have 2 stories that we have to talk about that happened, believe it or not, in Fresh Meadows. Yes, my neck of the woods. So let's talk about what's going on in Fresh Meadows. And also, we're going to give an update on the triple homicide that happened in Jamaica last week. The good news is the police have made an arrest, so we are going to get into that story. Let me just plug in my laptop so that way we can continue on with this, because the last thing I need is the battery going out during a recording. Okay, there we go. So let's see the 2 stories that we have in Fresh Meadows. First up, an 87-year-old was robbed. So where did this happen? In Fresh Meadows. Ooh boy, I know exactly where this is. 190th Street. This is south of Union Turnpike. Right by Cunningham Park. Okay, here we go. Just before 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, June 16th, in front of a home at 81-17 190th Street, 3 individuals approached an 87-year-old man in a white Jeep Grand Cherokee that had covered rear license plates. They engaged the victim in a conversation to draw him closer to the vehicle and claimed to be travelers from Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. Video surveillance footage shows one of the individuals removing a necklace from the elderly victim and placing it with a fake gold necklace without ever stepping out of the vehicle. Once the exchange was completed, the suspects drove off. There had been no arrest. There's an ongoing investigation. So let's see what happened in the video, because I'm curious. See, that sounds a little bit suspicious. All right, who was even in the back seat? Alright, that kind of makes it a little bit suspicious. A covered rear plate? I mean, look at this. I mean, they clearly have an idea who they're looking for here. These guys in the Jeep, it looks like. Yep. I mean, I hope that was not a kid. I really hope not, but... Okay, that was the first incident in Fresh Meadows, and now we're going to get into the second incident. So, a violent home robbery. Where did this happen? Look at this. 198th Street near 73rd Avenue. Yep, right by the Q88. So here we go. This happened on Saturday, June 4th. So it says here that 2 women assaulted another woman inside the home. The 2 suspects were inside the residence just before midnight when they began to argue with the 42-year-old victim. The dispute turned violent when the 2 assailants smashed a mirror and shelf before physically assaulting the victim, punching and kicking her multiple times. The 2 suspects then forcibly removed the Cartier watch and bracelet, valued at approximately $26,500. The NYPD Crime Stoppers unit released surveillance video of the 2 robbery suspects dividing up some cash. One of the suspects had black hair dyed blonde with a band-aid on her nose. She was last seen wearing a Givenchy t-shirt. The other suspect wore a white t-shirt and a gray shirt. So, yeah, as I said, this is what's going on in Fresh Meadows. So, was it forcible entry? That's a good question. You know, that is a very good question. I mean, look at this. I mean, she has a band-aid on her. I mean, look at that. So, as I said, this is what I have to deal with in my neighborhood now. Alright, crime is out of hand. Alright, and the fact that we have fireworks that may be going off on Monday, and I will mention that I've heard from 107 Precinct, and I've heard that last year, believe it or not, the 911 system almost had to shut down last year. So, folks, I'm urging you now, if you hear fireworks on Monday, please call 311. Because I've heard, believe it or not, from a source that's close to Deputy Inspecting Officer Kevin Jan, that there were some real emergency calls that they couldn't get to on Sunday night last year. So if you have any firework complaints, please call 311 on Monday evening. Because, you know, the last thing we need is a 911 operator getting involved in that, and then that operator could be responding to a more serious call. So just call 311. That's my recommendation for the fireworks on Monday evening. So I do want to get into the update from Jamaica, which that is an urgent priority right now regarding the triple homicide that I did talk about. So believe it or not, I first found out from Channel 1 regarding the arrest. And we do have the picture of the suspect from the Queen's Courier. So we are going to get into the details. And obviously, as we know, and I did talk about this, so we do know that there was a triple shooting that happened a week ago, last Friday, June 24th. A 29-year-old suspect named Travis Blake was arrested in Maine yesterday. He has now been extradited back to New York. So we do know that 3 bodies were found in a home on 155th Street near 116th Road in South Jamaica. So here are the victims' names. Fashauna Malcolm, age 22, Carlene Barnett, age 55, and Dervon Brightly, 36, were each found with serious trauma to their bodies. So we do know that a person of interest was named back on Wednesday, June 29th. And we do know that the suspect was last seen last Friday, of course, June 24th. So yesterday, according to this, The Bar Harbor and Mount Desert police departments up in Maine said Blake was arrested on warrants for homicide and assault from the charges in New York. The Bar Harbor and Mount Desert police department said Blake was taken into custody without incident. Police said charges are pending Blake's extradition to New York, so I'm assuming they're holding him in prison this weekend, because guess what? The thing is he going to have to appear in court in Kew Gardens this weekend? Or maybe even today. We don't know. And then most likely we're going to have to hear from Melinda Katz. So believe me, we're going to talk about Melinda Katz and we're going to talk about Kathy Hochul, because the electeds are getting called out for a couple of good reasons. So I do want to show you a picture of the suspect. We do have a good picture of him. This is Travis Blake. So this is who the Crime Stoppers were looking for. And thankfully they did make an arrest. So that is some good news on that end. Okay, so now what I want to do is go into the bank robbery that happened on Roosevelt Avenue in Jackson Heights. So let's see when this happened. Here we go. This happened on Wednesday, June 28th. It's happened at 4:21 p.m. Suspect entered a Santander Bank branch at 83-20 Roosevelt Avenue. Yep, I know exactly where this is. Right around the corner from the subway station. 4:21 p.m. A banknote was passed to a teller demanding money. The man claimed to have a firearm, but did not display it. The teller refused to comply, and the suspect fled on foot in an unknown direction, empty-handed. The good news is, according to 110 Precinct, there were no injuries reported during the failed bank heist. Crime Stoppers released surveillance images of the suspect, who appeared to be wearing a dark Brooklyn... Hang on. That's an epic fail. I think this is a Boston Red Sox hat. Okay, black t-shirt with Trap Addict written across the chest. He also wore a black face mask, dark pants, and dark sneakers. So, there you go. I mean, you're not going to hear about this on Channel 1, of course. Okay, let's see. I want to find... I'm trying to look for this. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. This is it. It's happened on the 7 train. So here we go. We're on the 7 did this happen. So this happened at 2 a.m. on Sunday, June 12th. A woman was assaulted as she was riding a 34th Street Hudson Yards bound train near the Hunters Point Avenue subway station in Long Island City. The suspect approached the 39-year-old woman and proceeded to punch her in the face, breaking her jaw. The assailant got off at the Hunters Point Avenue station and ran off in an unknown direction. EMS responded to the scene and transported the woman to NYC Health Bellevue Hospital in stable condition. The NYPD Crime Stoppers unit released a surveillance photo of the suspect and described him as a dark-skinned man, approximately 25 to 30 years old, 6 feet tall, 160 pounds. He was last seen wearing a black sweatshirt and black pants. So, then I want to read this last one, and this is very disturbing, very disturbing. A man was found under furniture in Woodhaven. Are you kidding me? This happened on Wednesday, 29th. 76-16 Jamaica Avenue, right? Basically, it's close to Cypress Hill Cemetery. So, look at this. This was located above the J&Z subway lines. A man was stuffed under a couch with trauma. I mean, that's disturbing. I mean, how does Channel 1 not cover this? I think there was another story that I forgot to read. Let me see if I can find it, because I know it was somewhere. Yes, this one. Man dies in Maspeth after the vehicle he was napping in crushed him. Look at this. This happened, let's see. Yep, happened on the 21st. So here we go. This happened right by Mount Zion Cemetery. Yep. 7 p.m. Unidentified man was lying on the roadway with trauma to his body. EMS responded to the scene and rushed the victim to NYC Health Elmhurst Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. So it says, according to the... come on, don't have a glitch on me. There we go. According to the Highway District Collision Squad, a 2008 Ford F-350 pickup truck had a 42-year-old man behind the wheel, was pulling out from a parking space along Mount Sinai Cemetery near Maurice Avenue and 54th Avenue when the driver of the vehicle rolled over the victim with the right rear tire. Investigators said the man was lying underneath the vehicle for unknown reasons at the time of the incident. The driver remained at the scene and was uninjured. There were no arrests and the investigation remains ongoing. So look at that. I mean, of course, Channel 1's not going to cover it because, again, we're Queens and we just don't matter to them as usual. Just like how, again, Staten Island? We don't care about Staten Island. We don't really care. Ooh. So I just want to see if I can find the other story, and then we're going to get to the... Yeah, here we go. This is what I was looking for. Ozone Park homicide. A man was killed right in front of his house. I mean, how does this get ignored? So here we go. Happened on June 25th, last week. So Tom Singh of 129th Street in Ozone Park was shot dead near the corner of 129th Street and Stuffer Avenue at about 3:46 p.m. So it says here that Singh was inside a parked vehicle with multiple gunshot wounds to his neck and torso. The victim was taken to NYC Health Jamaica Hospital where he was pronounced dead. So there you go. Another example of how Channel 1 just completely puts us off. Okay, so let's get into this. And then we're going to wrap up the video by taking a look quickly at Laura Uhl's page. And then we're going to take a look to see what's going on with the Queens DA. And then we're going to call out the Wicked Witch of Buffalo. So here we go. So let's see. Here we go. This happened on Wednesday morning, June 29th. Graffiti vandals were caught red-handed. Wait a minute. This was posted... Oh, okay. This was posted last week. So the arrest was made on June 23rd. Okay. Look at this. Look at this. Out-of-service trains had graffiti at the 75th Avenue station along the Queens Boulevard line. You really cannot make this stuff up. A 39-year-old named Hugo Guerrero and a 32-year-old named Alexis Gines were arrested. So look at this. The pair tried to ditch 2 duffel bags under nearby vehicles but were soon recovered by officers. The bags were found to contain 15 spray paint cans matching the colors unceremoniously decoding the trains. Police also confirmed a scanner from Gines that was used to eavesdrop on law enforcement communication, most likely harnessed to avoid detection. Oh boy. Look at that. Look at this. The pair reside in Brooklyn. Guerrero hails from Portugal and recently returned from his native country on June 20th. So look at this. Guerrero has a history of graffiti. Just 4 years ago in 2018, he was discovered in the confines of the 6th Precinct in... Oh boy, that's Greenwich Village. A goal forward to post 2x3 foot posters. So there you go. I mean, you literally cannot make this stuff up. You really cannot. Would you look at that? Another Santander got robbed in Jackson Heights. Broadway and 37th. A knife point robbery. And look at this. They were able to get away with cash. You really cannot make this stuff up. You really cannot. Oh boy, and then look at this. Car flipped over Grand Central Parkway by Cross Island. Look. We even have somebody who posted a picture. I mean, that's disturbing. Okay, here we go. See what else we can take a look at. Yeah, they're turning on the speed cameras. Give me a break on that. So, look at that. I mean, Kathy Hochul is being asked questions. I mean, this woman literally has no clue what she's doing. Alright? Look at her. It's just crazy. Armed robberies in Forest Hills. I mean, you really cannot make this stuff up, folks. This is what's going on in New York City, and this is what Channel 1 just doesn't want to cover. So let's get into what Melinda Katz is up to. Her personal car service was used to move into a new house. You literally cannot make this stuff up. Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz used members of her taxpayer-funded security detail to help move into her new home. And of course, this runs afoul of ethics rules being broken. The borough's top prosecutor was spotted wearing her gold DA's badge on her hip last week as she was carrying 4 boxes of belongings to a black Ford Expedition SUV parked outside of her new Forest Hills home in Queens, where she's been temporarily living since selling her former childhood home for $1.05 million back in February. She then climbed into the official vehicle and was driven about a mile and a half by a pair of plainclothes NYPD cops to a new 3-bedroom, 2.5-bathroom colonial-style home, which records show from New York City that she bought late back in May for $1.1 million. Look at this. The New York Post learned that Melinda Katz and her personal detail made 4 trips between her old and her new homes. I mean, you literally cannot make this stuff up. This is good old Queens County politics. I mean, they caught her red-handed. Red-handed. I mean, look at this. I mean, this is such a joke. Alright? And then look, she spoke at a Pride seminar from her vehicle on June 14th. I mean, really? New York Post also learned that Kat's security detail had many items on the SUV. I mean, I don't even want to read any more of this anymore. I'm just sick to my stomach. I mean, isn't this kind of breaking ethics rules? But no. Look at this! They caught her sitting next to Alvin Bragg! I'm gonna have to save this picture. So now, we're actually gonna go to somebody who actually cares about us. And that is my New York City Councilman, James Gennaro. Now, what has he been up to these days, you may be wondering? Well, guess what? He is upset with the Wicked Witch of Buffalo, and he's also been bitter the past couple of days because his friend Tom Suozzi lost the Democratic nomination for governor of New York on Tuesday. And by the way, I've been noticing a lot of people who are supporting Tom Suozzi, they've been posting a lot of rants and a lot of meltdowns online, and some people are even saying they're going to support Lee Zeldin now. So, I'm telling you, the Democratic Party in this state is so divided. So here we go. Look at this. So, James Gennaro criticized Governor Kathy Hochul and the state legislator in Albany for failing to address his public safety concerns. Councilman Gennaro had previously called for the state to consider allowing judges to be allowed to remand defendants based on their potential threat that they pose to the public. So, look at that. I mean, I'm glad James Gennaro was at least speaking about this. All right? You even have Mayor Hypocrite talking about this, Eric Adams. I mean, really? Really? She's so basically, Kathy Hochul's trigger happy to stop guns, but yet the law-abiding citizens, let's screw them over, huh? Let's screw them over. They're not allowed to have concealed carry. I mean, you really cannot make this stuff up. Look at this. So it says that criminal records for underage individuals are sealed. He believes that it leads to what many would be repeat offenders showing up as first-time offenders. I mean, I said, I'm glad that James Gennaro has been vocal about this, because I could tell he's getting upset with Kathy Hochul. I could secretly tell that, again, this is the division that's going on in the Democratic Party right now. You have your Kathy Hochul huggers, as I like to call them, and then you have people like James Gennaro and another person who I'm not going to name on here. But James Gennaro, for an example, who was upset that the old school Democrats are not getting involved in the process and basically are upset with the current state of the Democrat Party. So, believe me, I understand where he's coming from. So what I'm going to do right now is we're going to actually pay attention to the Wicked Witch of Buffalo and see how clueless it comes when she doesn't understand how bad the crime has gotten in New York. Cue the Wicked Witch theme. Okay, let's start this all over again. That's better.
The numbers to show that it's the concealed carry permit holders that are committing crimes, because the lawful gun owner will say that you're attacking the wrong person. It's really people that are getting these guns illegally that are causing the violence, not the people going and getting the permit legally, and that's the basis for the whole Supreme Court argument. Do you have the numbers?
I don't need to have numbers. I don't have to have a data point to say that this is going to make. All I know is I have a responsibility to the people of this state to have sensible gun safety laws.
Oh God, lady, you are completely out of touch.
It comes out of
you don't need numbers.
I don't need a data point to make the case that I have a responsibility to protect the people of this state.
Oh God, see what I mean? This woman is again clueless. The music basically fits the theme. Go back to Buffalo already! We don't want you anymore! You have no clue how bad the crime has gotten in the state, Kathy Hochul! Right? So again, we have to vote on November 8th like our lives depend on it. We need Lee Selden. We need Esposito to be our lieutenant. Alright? A lot's on the line right now. We are going to be in very deep trouble if we don't have Lee Selden as our governor, folks. Whatever you do, you have to vote. Stop voting for people like Andrew Cuomo and Kathy Hochul who don't know what they're doing. Stop it already. Get some help. You really need to look at yourself in the mirror and realize, do you want to see your taxes keep going up? Do you want to pay $20,000 property taxes? Because the way Kathy Hochul's doing things now, I don't care if I'm going to raise your property taxes. You want to get shot in your house? Minding your own business? You want to be a responsible, law-abiding citizen who's going to be responsible with their guns? Be careful. Kathy Hochul's coming out for your .38 caliber that you've been responsible with all your life. The rant's over. I'm done talking, okay? It's America's birthday. We all should be grateful that we live in a country of freedom. So let's celebrate our independence. And I am praying that we don't have another violent weekend.